Hello, welcome everybody. Okay, so we're getting into this thing today. What are we talking about? Discipline, spirit versus flesh. Now I'm going to go into some things. Some of y'all might be new to this channel, to this room. We speak about mature things here. So you have to be mature and ready to listen and grow. All right, so now don't come in here knee jerking because I'm only going to give you the facts. I'm only going to give you the facts. Let's do this thing. First thing I want to get on is we're talking about living healthy. If we're wanting to have a longevity of life. First of all, let me get into this. Because as we term this, discipline, spirit versus flesh, we got to understand that everything starts from the spirit. Everything starts what is going on inside of you. And a lot of this has to do with how you're thinking. What is your mindset? We want to make sure that this is why we have this vibratory frequency chart. Let me pull it up here. We have this vibratory frequency chart, and the colors are reflective of the frequencies on this chart. Now, one of the things that we've always talked about is we want to operate in this area up here, courage and on up. Eventually, we're going to get rid of all this because all of this is the negative. So I'm going to read this out for you. Pride and anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, and shame. That's all here, down at the bottom of this totem pole. If you're operating down here, you're not even operating in your right mind. So what I'm talking about is we've got a lot of fear-mongering going on when you hear certain things being said on these commercials, in the news. There's just a lot of fear-mongering keeping you in this lower vibratory frequency. So one of the things when people come to me, whether they're talking about bills or they're talking about some kind of situation they've gotten into that's legal, child support, any of that, anything that you are into or involved with, it all starts on a spiritual level first. And everything in your spiritual level has to do with your mindset. So the things that are showing up in your third dimension, they're showing up because of you called all of those things. If it's your baby daddy who is an alcoholic or whatever he is, he's showing up because of you and what's in your mind. If there's some kind of issue, where there's a legal issue, it's because of you. So when we're talking about what does that have to do with discipline, we've got to discipline our mind first. And a lot of us are not disciplined in any of the things that we do concerning our mind. What is that? What am I talking about? Who are you hanging around with? How do they talk? Are they constantly using negative words? Are they constantly cursing? Are they constantly... If you're hanging around somebody who has these kind of negative issues and they're vibrating in a lower frequency, please understand that they are your reflection. And if you can't discipline yourself enough to move away from those type of people, then the problem is not them, it's you. Because you just got to change you, and then what's going to happen? As soon as you start vibrating up here, the people who vibrate down here, they can't find you. They're not on the same frequency. They can't be in your friendship group. They're not going to be in your phone. They're going to stop calling you because y'all don't even think alike anymore. Are you disciplined enough to move away from people who are stuck in a negative mindset? Because if they're not trying to grow, then all they're doing is helping you to stay back. Discipline yourself. I'm just talking about this on a spiritual level for right now, because that's where everything starts. And then you've got to get your mind wrapped around, okay, I know that I operate in courage. All right. I'm operating here, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, and love, joy and peace and enlightenment. I operate up here. So then as I change my mind, these are the people who are going to find me. I don't even have to go looking for them. They're going to be drawn to me because remember, this is why we also have the universal laws. By universal law, and I'm going to get into this law of attraction. Everything that's coming to you, you're receiving it because you attracted it. You attracted it because of your mindset. All right? So, we're understanding that everything is operating on a spiritual level. And if you are not in your right mindset, and you're not disciplined enough to make sure you keep your mindset right, then you're going to draw certain people, and it's going to be because of you. I want that to be made clear. Okay, so we're understanding everything comes from a spiritual level. We've got to get our spirit right and our mind right. All right, I want to get into this next part of it because we're talking about discipline, spirit versus the flesh. Let's talk about what spirit is and what the flesh is. Now, you'll hear some people say, well, it's all the same. Mind and spirit and body, and it's all one. Okay, let's be clear. Some of you all know this if you're in the church or what have you. We are spiritual entities. Okay, we are having a human experience. You are a spiritual entity having a human experience. For those of us, and I'm going to go a little bit deep, some people might not be familiar with this channel or what we speak about here. But those of us who study, we know that as spiritual entities, you don't die. You don't ever die. You were here from the beginning, and you will always be. The vessel will expire, but you as a spiritual entity continues. So when we're talking about spirit, we're talking about an entity within this vessel. This vessel has its own pull. It's got its own mind, if you will. But the problem is with this brain, it's the ego. We don't listen to the spirit. So let's understand what the spirit is. The spirit doesn't need food. It doesn't need light. It doesn't need water. It produces its own energy. See, we encourage you to join the UNA University because I can only go so much into the history and the truth about who we are and what our makeup is in this public room. But when you join the university, we go deep. But I'm just going to give you a few things to understand about spirit versus flesh. All right, because some of us understand, for example, there's the mitochondria. Okay. And then that's a contract. Mitochondria has her own DNA. That's a contract. Then you've got what's called nuclear DNA. That's the flesh. That's the contract for the flesh. That contract determines, okay, you got 2 eyes, you got 2 arms, they're going to be this long, you're going to have this shaped head, you're going to be this tall. That's what the nuclear DNA says. That's the flesh. And it's the flesh that wants. It doesn't even need it. It just wants it. It wants some food. It wants to this. It wants to that. We're going to determine today some things that we have been told as human beings that we need, that if we would get back to our spirit, we would recognize we don't need that. That's the flesh calling on it. So as a spiritual entity, do you have control of your flesh? Okay? So what we're dealing with here is you as a spiritual entity learning to control the flesh. Because we've gotten so far away from spirit, this society has told us that we need things and that we need to do things that we really don't. So we're addicted to so many things, and we have a lack of discipline, which is what causes our lack of longevity in these vessels. I do appreciate your comments. So if you have comments, please put them in the comment section. If you have any questions, I will get to them today.